Hey, welcome to Join the Search On Air. I am Jess with Join the Search to End Violent Conflict. Join the Search is a global movement mobilizing millions of young people to end violent conflict in their own communities and worldwide. We believe every generation has a role to play in finding constructive solutions to the world's problems. So if you agree and you want to join us, just sign the pledge at endviolentconflict.org and you'll get special access to awesome people and events just like our Join the Search On Airs. So JTS On Air today is about the cure to urban violence, and we'll be talking about gang violence in Chicago. So since 2014, just a few months, there's already been 692 people have been shot and wounded in Chicago, and 121 people have been killed. So we're talking to CureViolence, an awesome organization and a supporting partner of Join the Search, who has developed an unconventional way of addressing this violence. So very exciting topic today where we have some incredible guests with us. We're very excited to have Guadalupe Cruz, who has worked with high-risk youth in Chicago for 2 decades now. She served as an interrupter and directed all Latino Interrupters, and is now working with the international team to implement some of their programming abroad. With her, we'd like to introduce 16-year-old Kiki, one of the young ladies Lupe has been working with and lives with the reality of gang violence daily, and Frankie, who is an actual violence interrupter, here with us today. So thank you both for being here. We'll be taking questions live from all of you in the audience. Just ask them in the Q&A box on the Google Plus event page or tweet them using the hashtag JTS On Air. So for Lupe, Frankie, and Kiki's protection, we will not ask them any specific names or names of associations. So thank you so much, everybody, for being here with us today. And Lupe, we're going to start with you. Can you tell us a little bit about CureViolence as the organization and the unique way that you guys approach violence?
CureViolence started in the year 2000, and we look at violence as an epidemic, and we believe in changing the violence by changing the mindset, and our goal is to change the community's mindset, the social norms, the community norms. One of the things that's very important about our program is the workers we have. And that's how we've been able to impact the communities we work in, because we work with community members. So our workers have been in the community. We're part of the community. Most of our violence interrupters were part of the problem at one time. They were part of the groups. A lot of our interrupters were incarcerated, but spent a lot of time in prison or in the communities, and now they're the credible messengers that are the ones that are able to interrupt the violence in the community.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Lupe. So Lupe, what is it that brought you yourself to CureViolence? Why did you get involved with CureViolence to begin with?
I came into CureViolence. I heard about the program. My brother was invited to the program. I've worked in the community, in the Little Village community, for over about 20 years with young adults, high-risk kids. And I believe in the program. I believe in the message. I believe in the work we're doing. And I love being part of the change in our communities.
Wonderful. Great. Thank you, Lupe. And also, Frankie, we have Frankie with us here. And as Lupe was saying, you know, the people that we have working for CureViolence, the interrupters, are what makes CureViolence so spectacular. So, Frankie, can you tell us a little bit about yourself? How did you start? How did you find out about CureViolence, and what were you doing before CureViolence?
I grew up in a little village, and like she said, at one time I was part of the problem. I was incarcerated for 25 years straight, and when I came home, a friend of mine reached out to me and introduced me to the program, and I liked what they were doing, and I'm just trying to help out now, give back, because I took a lot. So I'm trying to give back now.
Great, fantastic. Frankie, how are you received now when you go back into these communities? How do people receive you?
It's kind of odd because I'm working with a lot of young men that are the kids of the friends I grew up with. Because a lot of the stuff is generational in these neighborhoods, you know. So I'm received pretty well.
Good, good. That's fantastic. I'm going to shoot back over to Lupe here. Lupe, can you talk a little bit about the work that you're currently doing? I know that you're doing a lot of cool stuff with high-risk youth, as also with some international things that are going on with you right now.
Right now, I am working in South Africa, Hanover Park, Cape Town. I am working in Honduras, Puerto Rico, we've been to Colombia, and I'll be in Jamaica in a couple weeks. Frankie will be in Brazil tomorrow, so we also have him traveling. And the model works in all the countries we're working in. The model has been working. In Honduras, our reduction is 47% in the communities we're working in.
It's incredible.
So the dynamics are different. The credible messengers are not the same as in Chicago. So we use different kind of credible messengers as interrupters. But it has made an impact. In Hanover Park, we're actually right now working on going into Manningbird, another community, and the numbers over there, they've done great work in the community in Hanover Park. The reductions were like at 50%. The program has made a big impact in Hanover Park. So right now in Chicago, we have our hands full, and in our beats we've been keeping they keep us busy, but we keep our numbers down.
Good, that's fantastic. Thank you, Lupe. So now we want to move over to Kiki a little bit and get kind of a sense of, you know, what life is like for young people in Chicago right now. So Kiki, first of all, thank you for being with us. And what was life like for you before you met Lupe?
Well, my mother was a single mom, struggling with 8 kids. It was hard and frustrating. That's what brought me to the violence. What made me want to go out there and do crazy things, you know. It was hard, but we always stuck together as a family.
Okay. So, you know, 8 kids, just you. So now, I know I talked to you a little bit earlier. You've been on your own for about 3 years. Can you talk about that a little bit? When did you kind of start being on your own?
About 3 years ago when I was 13. Now I'm on my own. My sister, she's 21. She has a son that's about 2. She's also a single mother, but I help her as best I can.
Okay, thank you. Because it's kind of a snapshot of home life. So what is your situation now? Like, where are you living now? Are you going to school? What's happening with your life now?
Well, now I'm currently living with a friend, a real close friend. She helps me. Lupe also helps me out. I was attending Central State Fair on 26th of last week to go for a high school diploma, credit recovery, get my credits up for high school, and go back to high school and look forward.
Good. Awesome. So, can you, so I know, like I said, we've talked before, have you lost friends due to gang violence?
Yes, I lost a lot of friends since I've been out here around. It's been plenty of numbers, people come and go, but the memories that stay with us, you know. I lost a friend on January 1st, and New Year's. He was beaten to death. And I also lost a real close friend on my balcony. She was shot and killed. But like I said, as people come and go. You see a lot of faces come and go, but it's memories that are forever stay with us.
And I knew Lupe was there for you when your friend was killed on the balcony. So now, were you in the house when that happened?
Yes, I was in the house. We heard a loud scream. We came outside, and she was laid out on the balcony. But she had later passed away in the hospital. And Lupe had helped us raise money, fundraisers, and do the whole wake, the ceremony, and everything came out great.
It's absolutely terrible. A lot of people, you know, in the U.S., we don't a lot of times realize things that are happening in our own backyard, and so this is a really great opportunity to kind of bring light to this other reality that people don't talk about a lot. So your friend was a girl, was a female, was on your own balcony when she was killed. We often hear about boys in gangs, but we don't hear a lot about what it's like being a girl in a gang. What is it like being a girl member in a gang?
Well, kind of the same as the guys, but many people look at us being one of the guys. We get treated the same, we go by the same rules. Nothing's different. The only thing that's different is just the gender. There's not many girls out here, but the girls that are out here, we look out for one another.
So what's expected of you when you're in a gang? Are there initiations? Is there a certain kind of like hierarchy? Is there a bottom pack, a top pack? What's expected of you in a gang?
Well, what's expected is loyalty, respect, and honor. You don't have loyalty if you're not honored, and you're not honored if you don't respect yourself. Because what's expected is to be together as a family, look out for one another, and won't count on each other to be there. The hardest times.
Mm-hmm. Why do you believe young people join into gangs to begin with? What does the gang offer them?
Well, like I said, my mom was a single mother, and things were hard at home, and I felt like I couldn't run to nobody at home, so I came out there and I joined the gang, and no, it's not really. It doesn't really bring an offer to you. All it brings is just to let your stress out on the ones that you don't like, and that's all it's about is retaliation. Like when things are hard at home, you feel like there's no other place to go besides the gang.
So when your mom left at 13, was the gang there for you? What did they provide anything for you? Were they there to support you?
Yes, they were. Like I said, I was struggling on my own, and I currently live with one of my guys and his girlfriend and their 5 kids, and they helped me. And at my hardest of times, without clothes, without food, they would come. You're hungry, bring me food, take me shopping if they could, do what they could.
Yes, okay. So we're starting to get some questions from I want to make we answer some of these. So we have a question from Nathan. He says, is there ever a situation in which you would recommend joining a what would you tell someone about joining a gang now that you know about all the violence and death that happens in a gang? So I think this is for Kiki. What would you tell them?
Can you repeat the question?
Yes, I know. I can remember to that question. So what would you recommend to somebody that's thinking about joining a gang now that with all that you've known, like all the violence that you've seen and all the death that you've seen? What would you tell somebody now that's on the edge of joining a gang or not joining a gang?
Well, joining the gang is not always the best way to go, but if you feel like you don't have nobody to run to and that's the only thing you can run to, I don't suggest that that's the best thing to do. But you can always remember, just because we're a gang, that doesn't mean that we're different. We're like a family, like a regular family, We're just more bigger. We're a mob, but we're a family. I wouldn't suggest turning a gang banger for, like I said, family's not there for you. Who else can you run to?
Yeah, no, starting to see the sense that these are, the people that are here, they're there for you, and it's the community. So, Kiki, how has your life changed after getting to know Lupe? What is kind of changed?
Well, my life's changed. She's currently trying to give me an internship with her, with the CureViolence. Also go to school, get back on track, high school diploma, and take myself farther in life.
And what is it about Lupe that helped you trust her and helped you let her into your world?
Well, it's because my mom loved me at a young age, and I met her at a young age. And I really felt like I could open up to her more when she helped me with my girl's weight. That's what really brought me more like I could trust and I could open up to her.
Great. Thank you. I'm going to go back to some of these questions again. Or actually first. So this one's for Frankie. Frankie, so you're currently an interrupter right now. Why do you feel that youth really, relate to you so well and their peers? What do you kind of do to help them relate to you when you go in there?
Well, a lot of most of the kids in the neighborhood don't know me, but they know of me. I was from the neighborhood all my life. Like I said, I spent 25 years in prison. Uh, so all in years, they may have heard of me, but didn't know me. So that just gives me the in with them. Uh, what's unique about us, we try to stop the violence on the front end. So we're able to go where the police can't go. So we don't. So I don't associate with the police. The program doesn't have nothing to do with them. But it lets me in where they can get in. And if there's a shooting, I respond to it, and I just try to talk to young men how to retaliate. Don't go back. Don't make the same mistakes I made. I paint the picture for them because they're young. You got to paint a picture for them.
Absolutely. Thank you. I think painting a picture is so true, and obviously you're making an impact there. Lupe, question for you from Amanda. What do you guys look for in an interrupter? When you're looking for interrupters, what do you look for?
They're going to work in. They have to have influence, positive influence in the community, credible influence. They need to be credible in their community. They need to have positive, we need to receive positive feedback about them in their community. And pretty much they work in the community where they were raised in or have that they're able to be credible in. So every community is unique. Everybody has their own guys from their community, which we call violence interrupters, credible messengers. And they have that trust with the guys, with the young ladies, the young girls. They're able to relate in a different way than other people. They can get in where just about a regular person wouldn't be able to get in to where these guys can get into.
Absolutely. So that actually kind of brings us to another question. So interrupting violence seems like a very dangerous thing to do and to have, other people do. How do you make sure that interrupters and young people don't get caught up in the crossfire, that no harm comes to them when they're interrupters?
It's very important that the interrupters always understand that their safety is first. So they always have to prioritize themselves. We talk about it all the time. If they feel that they're at risk, they need to walk away. They're not superheroes. They're there to try to mediate or interrupt the violence, but they're not. They don't have capes or they're not made bulletproof. So they definitely need to always prioritize their safety. And if they have that instinct where they need to walk away, that's what they need to do at that moment. And they're pretty good about having that instinct about what's going on in the community and being aware of their surroundings.
Absolutely. We have another question from Nicole. Nicole asks, this one's for you, Lupe. She asks, Lupe, how do we gain support in a new community where you're bringing CureViolence program? So a new community that hasn't maybe seen the CureViolence program. I currently live in one of the most violent cities per capita in the U.S. So how do you get support in a new community where you guys have never been before?
Well, in Honduras, when we were new there, we were new to the program. to Honduras, the program was new. So it just depends on having, again, that relationship with community partners, which we're able to identify credible messengers from the community. And we go in slowly. We're not going in as superheroes, you know. So we go in slowly, and we're not there to get into anybody's business. We're there. Our goal is to reduce the violence. We want to make sure we're interrupting and mediating the violence in the front end. So it's kind of hard at first, but being able to get community leaders involved, community partners we call them, and they already have, most of them already have identified credible messengers, which they can be violence interrupters or outreach workers. And the program, it's been very well. I mean, it's been accepted very well in the countries we've been working in. It's working. Violence is all over the world. It's not the same as in Chicago, as in Honduras or South Africa, but it still is violence. So the credible, I mean, the guys, I think it has a lot to do. I believe that the guys are the ones that put the word out about the program. It's the workers that are able to share what we're doing, and for them to be able to share what their job is, and if they're, you know, that's how we're accepted into the community.
Okay, wonderful. I know I definitely want to get kind of a snapshot of what it looks like to interrupt violence. So, Frankie, can you give us an example of a time when you've stepped in and interrupt violence? Like, what was the situation that was happening, and what did you do to step in? What did that look like?
A year ago, a young man got shot. He was sent to the hospital, and that's where a lot of the friends end up at the hospital waiting to see what happens. So I responded over there. A lot of young men were already talking about retaliation, waiting to see how bad he was shot up, was he going to live. And in those moments, the best thing to do is remove them from the situation. So if there's like 5 guys there, I know which 2 to take away, and the other 3 will go home. So I take those 2 guys, remove them, maybe drive them to a restaurant, sit down, talk to them, and paint the picture for them. Let them know you don't want to go do that. And usually if you can stop them in the moment, they won't do nothing the next day.
Wow, that's incredible. The imagery of the word interrupter really comes forward when you kind of hear these stories like that. That makes complete sense of, you know, in that moment being able to stop it before it escalates or before people retaliate. We have a lot of questions by Nathan over here. There was one I just lost a second ago, but it was basically asking, do you work with police as well, Frankie and Lupe? Do you guys work with police at all, or do you guys kind of separate yourself and just work with interrupters?
Not work with the police. We do not share information. I mean, the workers would lose credibility. They would not be able to be credible messengers in the community. The program wouldn't function if we would work with the police. And that's one of the things that has worked in our communities, is that they know that we have that confidentiality with them. We're not sharing information. Now, there is some police but that's like on a higher management level. But violence interrupters, we do not communicate with the police. We do not share information. Our program is, we're not against the police. They do their job, and that we just do not share information with them to be able to be credible in our community.
No, that makes perfect sense. So now I'm going to go back over to Kiki for a second and talk a little bit more to Kiki. So, Kiki, have you tried some of these techniques that you've been learning from Lupe in your life with your friends? And if so, have you found that it works? Or sometimes you feel that you still have a long ways to go?
Well, I do have a long ways to go, but I take in everything that they say. I listen and I learn because they're older and they've been through it. And I know I'm younger and I still got time and I might hit that level where I'm gonna go through it. And when I do go through it, I want to be back and be like, man, Frankie and Lupe told me, and I knew what to look forward to. Yes, like Frank was saying, how I cured the violence. Like I said, I was sharing my story with you about my friend that had got beaten to death. He had younger brothers that was involved in the game too. And like you say, when you take them away and you talk to them and you really try to get into their head and you try to stop them from doing what they're gonna do, it really does work when you got that bond with them. When you can talk to them and they're gonna listen to you.
Thank you, Kiki. That's it's incredibly inspirational. Lupe and Frankie, do you guys ever use other creative tools? And this is another question from Nathan. Do you guys ever use creative kind of conflict resolution tools, or do you really kind of just stick with, you know, the bond that you have already made with somebody in that relationship that you already have? Or do you make other events as well? Like, do you have solidarity events or anything like that?
Yes, we're always looking for new things. We're always canvassing the community, building new relationships because there's new kids in the community. People move into the communities, and we do safe havens. We do basketball nights. We do cookouts. So we try to keep the kids busy. We try to keep the relationship positive with the kids in the community. But more than that, we're asking the community to get involved, for the parents to be part of the change. And
we have the softball coming up, which is we have the neighborhood, like the different blocks, they all get their teams, different neighborhoods get their teams. And actually we have the guys from the east side and the west side, which is two different groups that do not get along. But we have the softball going on at the same time in both the neighborhoods. And at the end of the season, their top three teams play their top three teams. So it's called the Crosstown Classic, which when it first started, no one thought it would work. But we haven't had no violence, no trouble during the games, and they actually look forward to it. You know, last year, the west side swept the east side.
This is our 6th year with the softball. We started with like 50 kids, 50 youth. Now we're at almost 400 at 2 days a week.
And these are all high-risk youth. The ones that be out there on them corners, on them blocks. So it's good to get them away from that. You know, I mean, they look forward to the softball, and when they're doing that, they're not out there doing anything bad.
That's awesome. That sounds fantastic. Who doesn't love a good softball game? Great. So, okay, so obviously there's a lot of things happening in Chicago right now. It tends to be a very dangerous place in the country. What do you guys believe are the first steps to kind of ending these cycles of violence? Yeah, what do you think are the first steps to ending this cycle of violence in Chicago?
I think it starts at home. I think you got to keep your kids busy, you know, with some kind of activity. Because if you don't keep them busy at home, the guys on the streets will keep them busy. You know, so it starts at home. You know, parents got to keep them in school, basketball, any kind of activity. A lot of parents seem to think of material stuff is the way to go. It's their time. They got to give their kids their time, because the streets will give them all the time in the world. You know, you were asking earlier what attracts the kids to the games. I think they're looking to be acknowledged. And a lot of them ain't being acknowledged at home. And on the blocks, on the streets, everything they do, and it may not be the good things they're doing, but they get a pat on the back for it. You know, they're being acknowledged for what they do. So it's got to start at home. It's got to start at home when they're young.
Great. Lupe, do you have anything you want to add?
They're kind of the same thing. The community needs to get involved. Families need to get involved in their kids' life. I mean, we're with them for a couple hours a day, but, you know, at the end of the night, they still need to go home. And it's sad to say that a lot of stories go untold, but there's a lot of things going on at home that pushes the kids to the street. So I believe that the families, parents need to get involved in the kids' life.
And everybody should understand that every so-called gang member, they're good kids just they're not doing the right thing, that's all. You know, most of them are kids at heart. You know, I pick up the guys in the neighborhood and I take them to go get ice cream. They're on the phone telling the other guys we'll be back in 2 hours. We're going to get ice cream. At heart, they're still kids. So people shouldn't look at them or turn away from them. They're just making mistakes right now, you know, and they don't realize it.
The one thing I know Frankie shares all the time is that they're not bad people. They're just making bad choices, and hopefully we can help them make the correct choices for their life, for their future. But they're good kids, you know. We always say we take them out, and we have a couple kids we take out, like our high-risk kids, and they love to go to an ice cream place on the north side, Margie's. And we'll say, order whatever you want, and they'll order a glass of water and a scoop of ice cream. They're not greedy. But we could sit there 3 hours with them, you know, just spending that time. They're looking for that time.
They're pretty humble.
Yeah. I don't know how you can't be watching this right now and not want to go out and do something. What do you have any advice for people watching the show that want to help in any way? What can they do to help?
My advice would be don't judge these kids, because we don't know what they're going through in life, and they're just kids. You know, they're young adults. We don't know their past or their experiences, so we need to give them a chance. They deserve a chance to make it, and I think we are the difference to give them that opportunity to make it.
Everything's in the approach. If you got kids hanging out on your block or in front of your house and you go out there, I would suggest maybe offer them some sandwiches. You know, feed them. Instead of calling the police on them. Because if you call the police on them, they might want to just come back and hang out there. You know, offer them some sandwiches or something and ask them nicely. You might not stand here, I got kids in the house. And I guarantee you they will keep other people from hanging out in front of your house. So it's all in the approach.
This is all fantastic advice. Thank you so much. Okay, we have a question from Russell. Russell goes, Lupe, how do you get at more of the structural causes for violence? So, for example, are you able to work with communities to help create employment opportunities and other alternatives to joining a gang?
We have outreach workers, so we do have some other workers, and their goal is they carry a caseload. Our big thing is building resources and having resources for the kids. Right now with Kiki, I'm trying to get her into an internship to work with me for the summer. So our goal is to find whatever resources we build. I know I have the resources with the funeral homes, with summer jobs, so it's about building that circle in your community to network the kids to be able to help them. We have the school programs, alternative schools, and we have the church that helps us out in all the communities. We have a church. They're big supporters. They're actually part of the Little Village softball now. But most definitely, we do reach out, and we don't, CureViolence, we don't do it on our own. It's a network of agencies working with the same kids. We all have something different to offer them.
Thank you, Lupe. And Kiki, I want to come back over to you. What is your hope for both your future and the future of your community? And what part do you see yourself playing in that right now?
Well, my hope for the future is to go further in life, look back and say, man, you know, I did that. I've been there and I've done that, and I want to do it again, you know? And my hope for my community is that hopefully one day we can all come together as one. You know, it's a great community. We have great kids. Even the gang members could be great people, you know, and they're help to the community. People would say that they're poison to the community, that it's not really that. It's, you know, it's just that when, like he said, when life gets hard at times, people feel like they gotta go out there and, you know, and get that little bit of stress off their shoulders. And what part do I see myself helping make that future reality? I don't really know right now. I'm still young. I still got a lot of time ahead of me. One day I do hope to be a doctor though, and say, man, look, you know, the streets can get you somewhere, and thanks to Lupe and Frank for everything that they did for me, and one day when I'm rich, help them out.
That's what we're talking about.
That sounds great. That sounds fantastic. And is there, and I know you kind of spoke to this a little bit, Kiki, but because I know you're really excited about kind of spreading light on this issue and on your community. If there's one thing you want people to walk away with after listening to this conversation, what would that be, Kiki?
Well, I would want them to take with them a little bit of advice that we do give, and that hopefully one day when they do see gang members, not to judge them. And you know, you can't judge, like they say, you can't judge a book by its cover. You can't judge a person that you don't know and what they're going through in life. And just know that when you see somebody hurting, you should help them. Because in the end, it all comes back to you.
Great. That's fantastic. And Lupe, I want to give you a chance to share some of your stories. I know you have a ton of success stories probably, so it could be hard to just pick one or a couple, but are there any stories that kind of stand out to you over the years of the work that you've been doing and that interrupting, violence really does work?
And I actually called her on my way here. I have a couple girls. Actually, I mentor a group of girls in a high school on a Friday on my own time. But I have a young girl that was close to graduating from high school and was thrown out 3 weeks before graduating because she would not shake up with somebody, or because she shook up with somebody. And she was like one of the guys in the community, all tatted up, kind of ran things like one of the guys. And for many years, I worked with her. One day she broke down. I had been working with her for about 3 years when one day she broke down. And I've never asked her about what was going on in her home, even though I grew up with her uncle. We grew up with her family, so I knew she came from a family with money. Kind of knew her family. But when she broke down and I heard what was going on, I would have never imagined this was going on in her home. I often ask myself, what was she doing out here? Because I know her family. She got involved, she got picked up, But the good thing is she finished high school, she's going to college. And her Janet, which is her partner in crime, is going to Morton College. She's going to be a probation officer. I actually was able to get her a job. I remember calling my daughter saying, can you hire some of my girls? And my daughter said, no, Mom, you always bring me these girls that don't follow through. And I said, come on, give her a chance. I said, she's never had a job, and can't get it. We just give her a chance. But I had done that before to my daughter. She's a manager. And she said, okay, bring her over here. And I took Janet. But Janet's been there 3 years. She's been like the employee of the month. And she's going to be a probation officer. So that's one of my success stories because I hold that up to my daughter. I'm like, see, Janet's doing good. I got some new girls coming in.
That's fantastic. Kiki, you're next. So we have just a comment from Gilda. I just wanted to share with you guys. She says, the problem is not gangs. The problem is the violence. Thank you for focusing on the violence, and thank you for the wonderful work that you do. So just some encouragement from the audience that I wanted to share, and we want to make sure that this story spreads around everywhere. So I think we're going to start wrapping this up. So I just wanted to leave it kind of throw it back to you guys. Frankie, is there anything that you'd like to kind of leave the audience with?
Like you said, just be open-minded when you see these kids on the corners, on the streets. Everybody got a story to tell, and we don't know their story. If you see someone in need, try to help them. And absolutely, gangs ain't the problem, it's the violence. And a lot of things are happening for different reasons. It's not all gang related. People seem to assume that, but that's not the case. We wear different hats for different occasions, and people out there should do the same thing. Be a part of the community, be part of the solution, join an organization to help out, your church, your schools, community centers, and try to get them kids off the streets.
Thank you, Frankie. I also wanted to remind people, I just saw something from Karen here in our questions. Please, if you want to learn more about CureViolence and what they do, if you want to know how to donate or how to support them with their local governments or mayors, go to CureViolence.org, and you can follow them on Facebook and also follow them on Twitter as well. And Lupe, is there any, how can governments and institutions support your work?
They can contact, we're always looking for funding in our state for the program, but they can contact CureViolence and get more information on how we can get funded and hopefully be working in their country.
Okay, fantastic. And Lupe, any last words for you?
Just want to share that, the violence is everywhere. Violence is different. It's not all gang related. The violence is violence, and we're losing a lot of young men, young ladies. We need to get involved. We need to get, like Frank says, let's get into some programs, be part of the solution.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Lupe, Frankie, Kiki, for being here. I hope everybody, I want to go back and listen to your words over again. I think they're so inspirational. I think there's things that we all could be doing in our communities to be reaching out, to not be judging other people. Just because you're a gang member doesn't mean that you're a bad person. We should write anybody off ever, and to, just get involved with our young people. Giving them other alternatives to violence and joining violent gangs and everything like that. So thank you all for being here so much. I want to thank the audience for staying tuned during this time. Fantastic questions. Please, if you want access to more conversations like this and also be connected to people all over the world that want to end violence in every country all over the world, sign the pledge at endviolentconflict.org to join the search, to join the movement. We'll be having more and more events as International Day of Peace comes up, and we want you all to be a part of this. So far, people from 117 countries have signed the pledge, and so now we need you. So thank you again, everyone, for being here today. Thank you, Frankie, Lupe, and Kiki, for being here. We really appreciate all the work that you guys have done. We just so happy you could be here and we could hear from you today. Thank you.